Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
If you were forced to give up an item, let's just say OV scores his, what's the record for goals? 871. Say, I think it is, Wayne's. Say he scores 872 and against the opposition, and let's say Shesterkin, let's say it's in New York, and he fires the puck into the crowd, the goalie for the Rangers, and you catch it. And then the Capitals come over to you and tap on the glass. Can we get that puck? It's Ovi's. It's the record-breaking goal. A, you don't want to give it to him, but B, you know you should. What would be an appropriate...
But C, that's $1 million puck in your hand.
They say the football's $500,000.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
So the puck would be... This didn't break a record. The puck would be right there.
No, what would you want?
$500,000.
You scumbag!
That'd be the coolest thing to have the record-breaking puck. But you know what?
Oh, it's $894. Sorry. So if it's $895, you catch the puck for $895. Because what Tom said was, we'll get him a helmet, maybe a couple jerseys or something. I'm not quite like you.
Yeah.
Not a complete pimp like you. I would say, I want the helmet. I want the jerseys. I want season tickets. I want lunch with you at the Golden Corral tomorrow, Tom. And let me think about it a little longer, and then I'll get back to you.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
I was fascinated last week that Jerry was pounding Egg McMuffins like it was his job and dosing them with salt because he didn't care because he's 80.
How about that?
So what better, shrimp cocktail or Egg McMuffin? Don't waste our time. It's Egg McMuffin all day. And don't get me started about those puny little cocktail rings that you buy. They're disgusting. Egg McMuffin's good anywhere.
That's right.
It's the Rod Pedersen Show.
It's the Rod Pedersen Show. That's right. Thank you, Rick Regan. Welcome, everybody, inside your favorite daytime sports talk show. We're coming at you live on Game Plus Television, YouTube, as always, and WQEE Radio. We remain in the NHL's Bermuda Triangle up here in Canada, where hockey's big, big, big. But we got a lot of topics to get to today, and obviously Super Bowl 57 is a big one. Coming up today, Vancouver radio broadcaster Jeff Paterson. He follows the Canucks. And Craig Button, Canada's, I don't know. Let's bring in Moose here. The Moose is with me. Craig Button, Canada's foremost analyst, is he? He's up there.
He's up there.
He's up there from TSN. Craig Button will be with the former general manager of the Calgary Flames, assistant GM of the Dallas Stars, and my dad's boss for about 15, 20 years, Craig Button. Those are the guests, and I think we're ready to go. Can you hit the quick six show horn, Jordan? Let's jump right into it. Thank you. I guess I was kind of thinking, the recap of the weekend, but that's what we're about to do here in the warm-up. But Clark has the photo. Can we throw this up? I want to send a big thank you and a howdy-do to all the people that came down to the Four Seasons Sports Palace. The Four Seasons for all the right reasons. This was Mike Marutis. He won one of the door prizes. Ricky the Iguana showed up. Our beloved mascot, Ricky the Iguana, showed up. And that's the Greek freak, Georgi Nitsos, on the right in his Vikings gear. Mike won that jersey, or that jacket. There was all kinds of NFL prizing there. And from Bet Regal, our exclusive betting partner. Thank you, Moose, for taking that photo. We had a big time at the Four Seasons. It was absolutely packed for Super Bowl 57. And I have some funny stories coming out of that. But let's talk about the game here with Moose. Number one, Patrick Mahomes was magical when the Kansas City Chiefs needed him to pull off another Super Bowl comeback. Playing on an injured ankle, Mahomes threw 2 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter and scrambled 26 yards on the go-ahead drive before Harrison Butker kicked a 27-yard field goal with 8 seconds to go, giving the Kansas City Chiefs a 38-35 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles Sunday. It was the second NFL title in 4 years for KC. 2-time NFL MVP Patrick Mahomes earned his second Super Bowl MVP award. We're going to move on to other things because gosh knows there's all kinds of NFL analysis going around. But I will just say this. I sat beside Moose, your lovely gal Leanne, and John Frenzy was there. John Frenzy, the Don Cherry of football. I could have strangled him because it was about halfway through the second quarter. A lot of people will know John. He's 85 years old, and he was on this show for years. He's not anymore. He's retired, but he said, "You're not watching the game." I said, "I'm hosting a Super Bowl party. I need to move around and talk to everybody here. Okay, just sit there and watch the game, okay? Don't worry about me." But I said to you going into the fourth quarter, I said, the Chiefs haven't been the Chiefs all game. Do you remember me saying that?
Yeah.
They will show up. So they did. I predicted KC by a 4 to 5 point spread. They won by 3. Hell of a football game.
It really was. To be honest, it was a great football game and a really kind of odd or anticlimactic ending to the game, even though it was a game-winning field goal. They scored on every possession of the second half. They came out at halftime with that extended halftime and just completely outplayed Philadelphia. I thought Philadelphia's defense, had a lack of big plays in the second half, but it was fun. Patrick Mahomes didn't throw for 200 yards, but he still threw 3 touchdowns. It was a clinic from Andy Reid. And, Jalen Hurts was fantastic in a losing effort. But, yeah, it was a really good game last night. Lots of fun.
The viewership's going up as we go and the listenership. And, by the way, shout out to Ryan O'Radio down there in Atlanta. Ryan, who cares what we think? What did you think about Super Bowl 57? Ryan O'Radio, who hosts the Radio Penitentiary every morning here on WQEE Radio. He says, Monday, time for the RP show with King Rod and Top Gun. I do have the Bet Regal robe here. I'm just not putting it on just yet. I'll get to the poll question and so forth, but we have new people in the audience. Kyrando, that's the name, writes, and he laughs. He goes, Golden Corral. You don't understand. We are the Golden Corral of sports talk here. We're a buffet. We're a little bit of everything for everybody, and we don't spend a lot of time on any particular topic, right? Any particular meal or food item.
That's right.
We move on, and pretty soon we're going to get to leftovers here, but John Schmeiser writes in, he says, good morning from Kansas City. All hail to the Chiefs. You see, they're saying, is this a dynasty now for the Chiefs? And I agree with one of the pundits that said it's not a dynasty until you win at least 3 Super Bowls in a compacted area. The Cowboys won 3. They were a dynasty in the early 90s. I think you got to win at least 3. The Chiefs aren't a dynasty yet.
They're really close if they're not. Been to 3 Super Bowls, right? I think that matters, how many you get to. And maybe, people often say the modern day dynasty because it's so hard to have that consistent success for long periods of time. But I think maybe one more. And if you listen to the post-game coverage and the comments from Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they're not done. So they're going to retool and come right back. And no reason to think. Yeah. I mean, I looked this morning on Bet Regal. They're the early favorites to win the Super Bowl next year.
Clark's doing a really good job, if it is Clark, and I believe it is, of running the viewer comments down the bottom of the screen for those that are watching on television. I wanted to move on to hockey because I got Sunday NFL, NHL leftovers here, plus some surprising things that you wouldn't even believe. It's new items on the buffet here at the Golden Corral of Sport. Yeah, new, blowing people's minds, but just hang on. Ryan O'Radio has chimed in with something here from Metro Atlanta. He said it was a great game, a few missed calls, but overall it was great. Now we're ready for some CFL. And I thank you we have to spend a minute on the 2 things that everybody's talking about, the halftime show and the holding penalty, the defensive holding penalty on the Eagles defensive back James Bradbury, because it did decide the game. We were watching it together. The flag came out. We knew the game was over. They were going to get a first down so they could score a touchdown or kick a field goal to win the game. That's exactly what happened. Greg Olson, doing the color on Fox, said it was a soft penalty, ticky-tack penalty for that moment of a game of that magnitude. And I thought, but it was a penalty. And I had a flashback in my mind, and anybody that listened to my commentary today, and you can go read it right now at rodpeterson.com, was the 2014 Grey Cup. Stick with me, everybody that doesn't know. BC Place Stadium. I'm there, 60,000 people in Vancouver. Hamilton Tiger Cats think they won the Grey Cup. Last second punt return touchdown to win the game. Whoop, flag on the field. Beep, beep, beep. Back up. Blocking from the back. Touchdown off the board. Calgary Stampeders win the game. And everybody's going, but they weren't calling it all game. I talked to the referees after the game in the lounge at the Georgian Court Hotel right across the street from BC Place. You know what the ref said? What if we didn't call it? Then we'd look like idiots.
Yeah.
It was a penalty. James Bradbury committed defensive holding on Juju Smith-Schuster. So why are we sitting here complaining about this at all?
And he said after the game that he held him. And he just hoped that it was...
He said he admitted, yeah.
And he just hoped that it was, just a little, not enough to get the penalty. And did it really affect the play? Maybe not. Was it really that big of a deal? Maybe not. But we want to look at that and say they blew it. They gave the Chiefs the win. Let's think about a couple of things. They were in field goal range. They were going to kick the field goal. All this did was eliminated Philadelphia's chance to get the ball back with a little over a minute left instead of 8 seconds. At the end of the day, the Chiefs won because they scored on every possession of the second half, and the Philadelphia defense didn't stop them. They had every opportunity to win. I think they were up 24-14 at the half. So it did not come down to that play, didn't decide the game. It was just a big moment at the end.
God bless our audience. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and says, that was a penalty in 2014. That's what I said. Jake Hughes, watching an Airdrie. You know Jake now. He's an ordained football official. He says, as an official, you never want a call to be the discussion. No, you don't, but it was. So here we are, right? The question would be, is it a penalty? The answer is yes. So we move on, and I'll get to more of this. Allie's checking in from Texarkana. Good morning, Allie. We're going to be moving on to hockey right away. And Carlos in Indianapolis says, it may also be a product of people trying to find a reason to claim the league is rigged. And that's where I don't have any time. I saw that, too. I saw that in USA Today, my favorite national newspaper, people talking about that. And that's when we stop the discussion. It's not rigged. That's why they go out of their way. If you ever thought it was rigged, they'll fire the guy that you think is rigging it because they can't have that. Yeah. From a betting perspective and an integrity perspective, I totally get why they can't have that. It's not rigged. And on the halftime show, because we are not The View, we're still a sports show, Pinks writes in, he says, I didn't hear anything good about the halftime show. All I heard was someone changed the channel to a red Teletubby. Well, that's mean. I'm a big Rihanna fan, have been for years. I love her music. There was no stupid pomp and circumstance. They came out there. Sure, they had a dance team doing pelvic thrusts on stage. It's no different than your local yoga class. Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Had the platforms going up and down.
And they were doing, push that pelvis way up there. They were doing that, like 100 of them.
Yeah.
So what? Love Rihanna? She's very classy. I think so. Do you have anything on that before we move on? Because I'm ready to move on.
I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was good. Didn't think it was bad. I thought it was just ho-hum. I don't think we're going to be talking about...
You're saying it was boring.
It was just kind of boring. Yeah.
Okay.
Like there was nothing that's like pulled you out of your seat. It was, she sang great. The music was good. She looked good. Everything was great. But it wasn't like, oh, wow. We're not going to look back and be remembering this even a week from now or even looking back and remembering great moments at the halftime. I just think it was kind of ho-hum. Jason in Red Deer says, Rihanna was great. She did the best she could being pregnant, for God's sakes. No kidding, right? There was 2 of them out there singing. She had her own backup band. John in Edmonton says, Rod, should Calgary take government money for a new arena in order to keep the team in Cowtown or fund it publicly like how Edmonton did with Rogers Place? Well, taking money from the government is funding it publicly. They need to do whatever it takes to keep the Calgary Flames in Calgary, and that's what they're going to do. They're not going anywhere, so let's get it done. I read the articles
I appreciate you bringing that up, John, because we're going to be going to Calgary pretty soon. Not a lot has changed. Kevin the Medium says, what yoga classes are you going to, Rod? Not enough lately, Kevin, but listen, let's find some in Calgary and go together. I did my own today.
I can just see the two of you going to the yoga class.
With our little rolled up mats. John Ohm says, I think the halftime show is 18 plus, not family worthy viewing.
Spicy.
Stop, John. It's no different than any other yoga class, as I said. But what did I say sitting there last night? I said, John Chick's going to be losing his mind right now. Because a few years ago, this is the former Indianapolis Colts and Jacksonville Jaguars defensive end. Should be a Hall of Famer here in Saskatchewan. Devout Christian, probably the most devout I know. And I think he wrote a letter to the NFL with a Shakira halftime.
That was Shakira.
Years ago. Do you remember that? And J-Lo.
Yeah.
None of us had a problem with it. How about that? 902-518-3033, the number to call. No, we're not taking calls. The number to text. Strike me down before we take calls.
I know. I've ran that by you a few times.
Nope.
Like, what do you think?
Not a chance.
Yeah.
Will we take calls? Write that down. I'm going to fly through the NHL Sunday leftovers, and then we'll come back and deliver them a little more, get into them a little more. Jaden Schwartz, who hails from 20 miles south of here right now, Wilcox, Saskatchewan, scored twice. Jordan Eberle, who hails from right here, had a goal and an assist, and the Seattle Kraken sapped some of Philadelphia's Super Bowl Sunday excitement, beating the Flyers 4-3 in Philly. In Montreal, Jordan Harris had his first career 2-goal game, and the Habs earned wins on back-to-back weekend afternoons, beating the Oilers 6-2 at Centre Bell. Alex Belzile, Josh Anderson, Raphael Parvy-Pinard, and Christian Dvorak added goals for Montreal. For the Oil, Leon Draisaitl and Evander Kane scored for Edmonton. Connor McJesus was left off the score sheet. Stuart Skinner made 24 saves for the Oilers. You like that, eh?
You got the inflections
Now
right.
I got it right.
Yes.
Finally. In lost wages, 7 Vegas players had 2 points, and the Golden Knights scored 5 times in the third period to break open a 1-goal game and extend their winning streak to 3 games, roasting the Anaheim Ducks 7-2. In Washington, Erik Karlsson had a goal and 2 assists. Aaron Dell stopped all 8 shots he faced in relief, and the San Jose Sharks ended their road trip by beating Washington by a score of 4-1. I'm a pretty happy cat. This weekend, I watched Junior A hockey live, Estevan and Nipawin. I watched NCAA hockey on the television with my brother and his wife. And that Tracy's no dummy. You've met her. Mm-hmm. She's a veterinarian. We watched Syracuse play Mercyhurst, where my niece, their daughter, Sydney plays.
Yeah.
Tracy doesn't know a hockey puck from a coffee cup. That's a fact. She said to me in the middle of it, what would you rather have, a penalty shot or a power play? And I looked at my brother, who fancies himself as some sort of hockey aficionado, and the fact of the matter is, he is.
Ooh.
We debated it for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I had to put it on Twitter and ask people, what would you rather have, a penalty shot or a power play? And I'll tell you what the results were when we come back, plus today's poll question. We have a lot of interesting things to get into. We're barely started here. It's the warm-up, and we're live on Game Plus Television, live streaming on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, and WQEE Radio, the key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models, GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, and we are live on this Monday. Episode number 938 of your favorite daytime sports talk show is on the air, and we've got a lot to get to. Today's poll, the weekend poll, but we're going to jump into our Bad Beats segment now for our exclusive betting partner, Bet Regal. And Moose, you have a bad beat. Does it have to do with the Super Bowl?
It does.
Yeah, okay.
It does. Has to do with you. It was the prop bet. The over-under at Bet Regal for Chris Stapleton's national anthem was 2 minutes.
Do we have a ruling on what he exactly was?
I've seen a couple different unofficial rulings of 2:02, but we're coming into this song, and I picked the over because I know he sings slow
The national
ballads.
anthem, not just any song, by
Right.
the way.
Yeah, not just any song. You had the under. Now, I didn't kind of realize, I guess, they knew he would sing slow, so they had the appropriate over-under, and we're coming down the wire. Leanne's got the stopwatch going. You're watching. Bob's up top, right? And the guys are up top. And I just hear you pulling out your hair. Land the plane. And it came down to the last note, and he hung on for a second and a half longer to just hit the over. It looked like it was going to be wrapped up in the under. No problem at all. But that last note got you.
I'm with you. It's like he had somebody in his ear to just string it out, Chris. String it out a little longer. We're going to hit right to 2 minutes. Because that's pretty much exactly what he did. And it busted my bracket, my prop challenge. So good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So we play Bad Beats every Monday for our exclusive betting partner, Bet Regal. Sign up today. I appreciate all those who did. Again, before we move on, we have the unofficial poll question this weekend. I just threw out on Twitter because I didn't have an answer, my brother and I, that my sister-in-law came up with. What would you rather have, a penalty shot or a power play? And incidentally, power play won. It was almost 1,000 votes of it. And but my brother Lee said, it is a good point, there's no guarantee you're going to get any good scoring chance at all on a power play. So, of course, you'd want a penalty shot. So, today's poll question is this, as we talked about the NHL on the weekend. For Capital Automall, Universal Collision Center, Capital has dealerships all across the Canadian prairies and the state of California. What's Canada's best NHL team? And there's a little bit of a debate over that, I would think, maybe more than we should have. We came up with these top four, and it's not hard. Oilers, Flames, Leafs, Winnipeg Jets. And I'm not really looking at the points, but I mean, Ottawa's out. Their goalie's done for the rest of the year. Montreal's out. And Vancouver, well, we'll get to that later with Jeff Paterson. It's these four teams: Jets, Leafs, Oilers, Flames. The YouTube vote, I saw it, running away with it, your Toronto Maple Leafs. So I feel like you and Clark are ballot box stuffers. I voted for the Winnipeg Jets, and to be honest, I don't even think it's close. We could go through the reasons why they've got the best goaltending of any of those four teams. The record right now doesn't matter because that's going to change. So I'll go out and say it's the Winnipeg Jets. I almost unzipped, but I'm not wearing a Jets jacket. So I might wear that later in the week, Winnipeg Jets. To me, it's not a contest. You?
I think it's the Leafs for now, but there's an argument to be made, I think, for the Leafs, the Jets, and the Oilers, because the Oilers are playing really, really well right now. I think the Flames end up being the odd team out here in this conversation. The Leafs for me, because I look at the standings. Last time I looked at them, I think there was 4 teams in the Eastern Conference that were better than any team in the West. So because of the schedule and all that stuff, and still being at the top of the points, near the top, the Leafs, the way they've played, I'll go with them for now.
Well, Jason in Red Deer makes a good point. He goes, hard to say the Oilers when they just got shellacked by the Habs. It is. I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Yeah.
But then they won on Saturday at Ottawa. I was busy, by the way. Can I just say something about the Flames? And again, March 13th, we'll be back at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino starting our spring residency. I was listening to the Flames broadcast on the way driving up from the Energy City on Saturday. And the Flames were down 2-0. They allowed 2 goals on 3 shots. The broadcast was predictable. I get to the farm, and I'm checking Twitter. Flames fans are incensed. Then they turn around and win 7-2. Score 7 unanswered goals and win. This is all at Buffalo, which led me to point in my weekend column that the Flames could be the best team in the NHL if they wanted to be. We'll park that and come back later. Maybe we'll revisit that with Craig Butner when we have more time in hour 2, because I want to mention this. It's only point 3 of our quick 6 show topics here today. Which, incidentally, I said to Peanut Butter Pete on the weekend, I said, hey, do you watch Sports Center? And he said, why would I? I watch the first 20 minutes of your show and I get everything. Why waste 60 minutes when we only need 20? Why do 8-minute abs when you can do it in 7?
It's the newest thing, 7-minute abs.
Why, what about 6-minute abs? You can't work your abs in 6 minutes.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Point 3, with football season over, baseball is on deck. The first wave of Toronto Blue Jays pitchers and catchers will report to training camp today, albeit many have been at the team's complex in Dunedin, Florida for several weeks. These early report dates are for players participating in the World Baseball Classic, so there will be a slow drip of arrivals over the coming week and a half. Preseason action doesn't swing underway until February 25th for the Jays when they visit the Pittsburgh Pirates. So again, last night at the Four Seasons where we had our Super Bowl party, I had a guy beside me. He goes, you must be really excited the Blue Jays are about to start. I'm like, no. Football's done. Can we concentrate on hockey? That should be really the only thing that we need to concentrate on right now. I'm not going to go up and down every day with the Blue Jays spring training.
No.
I'm just not.
It was really cool being in Arizona for spring training last March. But, yeah, it's kind of neat to be around it. It's kind of cool that it's back, but
that's cool.
There's not day-to-day stuff to be worried about. It's hockey season.
With the races that we've got going on in the National Hockey League right now.
I'll be excited for a few hours on opening day, and then we'll go back to hockey, and then we'll come back to it later.
That reminds me, Joe Sam is watching on Game Plus television on Vancouver Island in Victoria. And he says, I'm glad you guys don't talk about golf. And I'm like, so am I, bro. A guy misfired. You ever get the misfired text from a buddy?
Yeah.
Oop, that wasn't meant for you. Mine was My Dale Mike. He texted me on Sunday morning. And he was like, do you think Adam Hadwin or somebody else is going to have a shot at winning today? Before I even responded, Mike wrote me and he goes, oh, sorry, wrong guy. You're not a golf guy. I'm like, not even a little. Super Bowl Sunday, for the love of God. Who's watching golf?
I know.
John McPhee is watching in Rosetown, Sask. You know that town.
I do.
He says, poor penalty to end a Super Bowl. We obviously covered that earlier. It was a penalty. So what do you want? You see, I was okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it just, the only thing it did, the only thing that did is it sucked away the last minute of the game. It just made it so they could kneel it out, right? Didn't affect the game. They were still going to kick the field goal, right? Mm-hmm. And they still dominated Philly in the second half. It just, took away the excitement of the end of the game. That's all it did.
Daytime sports talk covering it all. Moving on. Dan McCabe is watching on Game Plus TV. We've got a lot of viewers, by the way, around here on television because they've all been coming up to me for the last week. That's a good thing. Dan says, my belief has always been that they should play the Grey Cup game on the third week in October and avoid the players slipping and sliding on snow and ice. Yet they were at the Super Bowl slipping and sliding on the turf and painted logos. Crazy. Why is nobody ripping the NFL on that? Because that's pretty Bush League.
I saw that. $800,000 they spent on the turf. They put it in, painted the lines. They were rolling it out every day so it would get adequate heat and everything else. And then they were still slipping a little bit during that game.
That was weird.
Prompting players to change their cleats middle of the game.
Kicker fell down after kicking off.
Yeah, very weird. Very, very
weird. But nobody would dare call the NFL Bush League, but it was Bush League.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if that was the CFL? They'd be ripping them neck to navel. Point 4, quarterback Derek Carr turned down a trade offer from the Las Vegas Raiders to the New Orleans Saints, said a source to the Associated Press. That person said Derek Carr wouldn't accept a pay cut to help finalize the deal. Who does he think he is? I talked to one of his former coaches. You know who it is.
Yeah.
He said that guy's uncoachable. Just putting it out there. Point 5, there are 11 games on the NBA schedule tonight, but the Toronto Raptors have the day off after beating the Detroit Pistons 119-118 Sunday in a nail-biter. The Raptors are 6-4 in their last 10. They're home to the Orlando Magic Tuesday night. The Atlanta Hawks, hashtag true to ATL. Here come the Hawks. Zapped San Antonio 125-106 on Sunday. How about that, Ryan? A radio. But our Georgia Swarm lost 11-10 in NLL play on the weekend. And the Saskatchewan Rush, got spanked in Calgary on TSN Friday night. Were we together watching that?
We weren't, no. I don't know who you were with.
I was in the Tower Tap House in Estevan watching the Rush on television.
That's right.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
Craig McTavish. They pulled their pants down and gave him a spanking. Calgary did.
They really did.
What did it end up? It was
11-5 or something like that.
Yeah, when I watched it was...
I can't remember the final was.
Hell of a crowd.
Yeah.
It was 14,000 plus in the Saddle Dome.
Yeah, great atmosphere. You and I have been to games.
I got some randoms here. The Moose Jaw Warriors Junior Hockey Club is in the news, and not for good reasons. The Western Hockey League announced that Warriors goalie Connor Unger, defenseman Max Wanner, and Merrick Howell, and center Lyndon Lakovic were suspended indefinitely pending an investigation into possible violations of team rules and the WHL standard of conduct policies. I don't know anything about it at all, and I want to keep it that way. Doesn't look like there's been any police involvement here, so that's good. People are running off with all their crazy theories. I don't know anything about it. I hope it has a peaceful conclusion. How about that?
Yeah.
And Canadian Football League buzz here in the time we have left in this segment, which is a lot. Jeff Paterson coming up and Craig Button in hour 2. It is a little confusing. I had somebody send me this morning, Cody Fajardo, my guy, quarterback, left Saskatchewan, gone to Montreal, it seems, penning a long farewell. I meant to spend more time on this. We'll have to get this into our
We can, yeah.
A long farewell to the Rider Nation here in Saskatchewan. Said his son was born here. My heart's there. I gave you everything I had, which he did, and that's why I love him so much. A wide receiver named Shaq Evans did the same thing over the weekend. He's gone. I think Kyran Moore, our guy, Swerve, got his nickname from Deron Carter. He penned a farewell. Other players from across the league have. Did Bo do that for Calgary or no? If he did, I don't remember it. But when did this become a thing, saying a farewell? to their team.
Yeah, and I asked you, before the show, what's the number?
What's the appropriate time?
What's the appropriate time? Like if you were with the team for a year, 2 years, 5, 10. I always thought, 10 years is probably the number for a big video tribute when you come back and a big farewell. Guys would take out, used to be full pages in the newspaper to say, farewell, big veterans. I think, if you're just a couple of years, a tweet is good. A nice farewell tweet. Enjoyed my time. A big penned message, maybe for a quarterback like Cody, he'd be flirting with the line. He was on the way to being the best ever. On
and it did a hairpin turn.
Right.
Which we're going to have to get into next hour because obviously I could talk about that forever. Troy watching in Toronto says, according to Google, penalty shots scored 33% of the time, and power play average scoring is 19.8% of the time. Always take the penalty shot. Seems elementary, doesn't it? It was a hell of a question from my sister-in-law, Tracy. Lifetime in the game, and nobody put it like that before. Andrew Stout says, how about the controversy with the women's national hockey team? I feel for them. They deserve what the men get. It's a business. If they have the revenue that the men get, then they should have the split of the pay that the men get. I don't think that they do. We're going to break. Oh, Ted in Arizona wants to know, hey, Clark or Rod, who won the third jersey contest? The funny thing is, Darren's the one in charge of it. We're into the final four, and we'll be doing it later this week, starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is Jeff Paterson ready, Clark? We're going to Vancouver next. It's a great day, brand new week. It's the RP Show, and we're live on Game Plus Television Network, YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, and on the radio, WQEE, The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Peterson Show.
RP Show continues on this Monday. Poll question for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center. Which is Canada's best NHL team today? Flames, Oilers, Jets, or Leafs? On YouTube, the Leafs are leading. On Twitter, the Winnipeg Jets are leading. Jeff Paterson covers the Vancouver Canucks for Sekeres and Price, and Rink-Wide Van joins us today from the West Coast. Hey, JP, I'm sorry that the Canucks aren't in that poll, but you get it. What is the update on the Vancouver Canucks in the new Rick Tocchet era?
Roddy, thanks for having me back on. The Canucks were out of that poll 7 games into the season when they were 0-5-2, as you will recall way back in October. And those are the good days, unfortunately, for this season. It's kind of gone sideways since then. Obviously, the coaching change. Tocchett's been on the job for 7 games now. They've just come off a 4-game road trip out east after the All-Star break. Won one of those, a wildly entertaining game on Long Island in the Bo versus Bo Horvat against Anthony Beauvillier. And, of course, they both scored in that game, so there were lots of storylines there. But look, it's a new head coach, but it's the same roster. And until they address that, I don't think Rick Tocchet's a miracle worker. He's trying to instill some new changes and some systems and things. But ultimately, this is a team that cannot get a save. It's got the worst save percentage in the National Hockey League in the last couple of weeks. And really, it goes further than that. Since Thatcher Demko got hurt on December the 1st, they've been running with a couple of backups, guys that really are, AHL quality goaltenders that are getting an opportunity in the National Hockey League, and they just can't get saves. And proof of that was in Detroit on Saturday. They were down 2-0 on the first 2 shots of the hockey game. That's hard on the coach. It's hard on the guys in front of the goaltenders. They're trying to do their job, but all of a sudden you're playing catch-up, and the Canucks get scored on first so often, and they're trailing and then playing catch-up and chasing games. And so, it's been a struggle. There's 29 games to go. It's a rematch against the Red Wings tonight here in Vancouver and the start of a 3-game homestand. But there's going to be a lot of long nights ahead here, and really it's now about what do they do between now and that March 3rd trade deadline. They've traded Horvat, but I do not think that they're done. I expect that there will be more trade activity from the Vancouver Canucks.
So that's a sell-off scenario, and I guess are you kind of intimating to me that nothing's changed under Rick Tocchet? Has anything in the mood changed around the team? I understand they've been on the road here, but do you see a change?
Again, it's early time. 7 games is tough, and the first 2 of the first 3 games they played at home against Chicago and against Columbus, those were 2 of his 3 wins, and those are pretty much freebies on the bingo card, although Columbus went into Toronto and did win on Saturday night. So I guess on any given night in the National Hockey League, again, he's trying. So when you look at a new coach and what he's trying to do, he's questioned the fitness level of the Vancouver Canucks, which was interesting, I thought. These are pro athletes. There are expectations that conditioning shouldn't be an issue, but at the same time, I guess you can always be, a little fitter and sharper late in hockey games, perhaps. And that's where I talk about them chasing the game all the time and trailing. It takes a lot of energy, mentally and physically, to always be battling back. So that's going to be something to watch. They don't have a lot of practice time, and that's something that Tocchet has lamented here as well. They're just in the meat of the schedule now after the All-Star break, where they play every other night and a fair bit of travel. And so it's going to be interesting to see what he can do on the fitness front. Otherwise, it becomes deployment, right? Like every coach has their guys, and a player like Brock Besser, who I think is still very much on the trade block, he's gotten a bump under the new head coach, and he's been promoted to the top line with Elias Pedersen, and he's responded, and he had his best game of the season, that Islanders game that I mentioned. But the flip side there is Andrei Kuzmenko, this first-year Russian who was the second leading scorer on the Vancouver Canucks. All of a sudden, he can't get on the ice. His ice time has been reduced to 11, 12 minutes the last couple of games. And clearly there's something there that Rick Tocchet is seeing or not seeing that, he's going to need a little bit more. Tocchet, we all know Rick Tocchet, the way that he played, right? As rugged and hard-nosed as they come. But that was then. It was a different era of hockey, and not every guy is cut from the Rick Tocchet cloth. So, we're in that process here 7 games in of sort of figuring out who are Tocchet's guys, who are the guys that are going to respond to the coaching change, who are going to fade away. And that's just a constant in hockey whenever there is a change behind the bench. Some guys react and respond to it. Other guys, they struggle adapting. So I would say that we're still in the fact-finding mode. Ultimately, results don't matter for this group when you're talking about the best team in Canada. You're not wrong when you say that the Canucks are not included in that group. And so Tocchet on day one said, it's not about the results. It's now about identifying guys that they can move forward with. And also, it's about individual improvement. Who gets better over these final 30 games the rest of the way? And ultimately, who's going to be around after that trade deadline? So, he's trying to instill systems and values and all that. But again, there's a revolving door here. I think there are going to be a few more pieces out that door before all is said and done.
Two-part question. What do you think the mathematical chances are of them landing the number 1 overall pick in Connor Bedard? And 2, you're from there. Connor's from there. Would it be good or bad for him to go to the Vancouver Canucks if the balls fell that way and they were in position to do it?
Yeah, I put them in the very long shot category. I think they're 27th in the National Hockey League. I mean, we're at that point, though, where a team like Montreal beat the Islanders and Edmonton over the weekend, and people in Vancouver are rejoicing because Montreal is now 2 points in front of the Vancouver Canucks in the overall standings. And again, that's kind of where we are with this group. But there are some really bad teams in the National Hockey League. We know that. And I just think the Canucks, they've got a player like Elias Pedersen who is going and is capable of winning games single-handedly. Quinn Hughes picked up his 50th point the other day. He's doing things that haven't been done out here in 50 years on defense. Like, there is talent on this team that some of those bottom feeders, when you look at the rosters of Anaheim, and, we expect the big sell-off in Chicago, and talked about all the injuries that a team like Columbus has gone through. That said, when you are where the Canucks are in the standings, there's no easy games. They still have a bunch of head-to-head games. They haven't been to Arizona yet. They still have 3 left against Arizona. They still play the Blackhawks a couple of times. And so, I mean, those are games, ultimately, they're going to impact where they finish in the standings. I don't think they can tumble, though, far enough that, the lottery odds are going to be in their favor. And the other thing is, the lottery has never been kind to the Vancouver Canucks. Even when they were bad a few years ago, they were still one of those teams that tumbled as other teams won the lottery. And so this is a team that's never had the first overall pick in its franchise history, and that goes back to spinning the lottery wheel against Buffalo back in 1970, ahead of the first ever draft that the Canucks were involved in, and the Sabres got Gilbert Perreault, and the Canucks ended up with Dale Talon. So there's a half century of history when it comes to the lottery and drafting. The flip side, or the other part of your question, people here would embrace this. I mean, we've seen what Connor Bedard has done. We've seen him selling out buildings around the Western Hockey League. It was a big event here in late January when he came through, or actually, I guess that was the Top Prospects game, but back in November, he came through with the Regina Pats. They sold out the Langley Event Center. It was advanced building. It was top of the news cycle out here. So people are well aware of what Connor Bedard has done. Go back to the World Juniors as well. But you're right. I mean, I think that's a fair question about local guys in their own market. Jake Virtanen is an example of a guy that never lived up to the billing, an Abbotsford guy here, and, the 6th overall pick back in his draft in 2014. And, of course, is now out of the National Hockey League for a variety of reasons. But Connor Bedard's a pretty special kid. You know that better than most, Rod. I think people here would absolutely love to see him in a Vancouver Canuck uniform. And I get the sense that this guy is going to be an absolute slam dunk home run, if I can mix my sports metaphors, wherever he plays. So even if it was the pressure of here at home, pressure doesn't seem to get to this guy. He would be welcomed with open arms if somehow the lottery balls could bounce in the Vancouver Canucks' favor this year.
Isn't that nice? Well, Jeff, thanks for that. We are out of time, but good luck on the trail. For your sake, I hope they do get him. And it's always interesting. So you can catch Jeff daily on Sekeres and Price in Rink-Wide Vancouver. Enjoy the hockey, Jeff. Thanks for the time today.
All right, Roddy, and I'm voting for Winnipeg. I'm throwing my vote behind the Jets as the top team in Canada.
You and me both. Yep, thanks, Jeff. Jeff Paterson checking in from Vancouver. When we come back, we've got a sports update, audience takeover. The Moose rejoins in hour 2, and TSN's Craig Button. It's the RP Show, and we are on Game Plus Television, live streaming on YouTube daily, and the radio WQEE The Key.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Peterson. Text 902-518-3033.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Casino fancy.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now back to the studio with Rod.
Yeah, buddy. The Moose will be with us in hour 2. I got this part. Sports update. There are 5 games in the NHL tonight, including an all-Canadian battle in Ottawa, where the Calgary Flames take on the Sens. Calgary coming off a 7-2 win over the Sabres Saturday. Ottawa dropped a 6-3 decision to the Oilers Saturday. Elsewhere, Vancouver hosts Detroit, as JP just mentioned. Fresh off a Super Bowl victory, Coach Andy Reid says he plans on returning to coach the Kansas City Chiefs next season. Reid, who turns 65 next month, ended any speculation about his potential retirement by telling reporters that he plans to stick around if the team will have him. This sports update for Landmark Cinemas. Here's what's on at the movies. Playing now, A Man Called Otto. Based on the comical and moving #1 New York Times bestseller, A Man Called Otto stars Tom Hanks. Well, as Otto Anderson, a grumpy widower who is very set in his ways, but when a lively young family moves in next door, He meets his match in quick-witted and very pregnant Marisol, leading to an unlikely friendship that will turn his world upside down. In theaters now, Landmark Cinemas, A Man Called Otto. It's interesting. Blue Jays players reporting, and I'm just pump the brakes today to Dunedin. We've barely got into the Super Bowl game, really. The halftime, the penalty call that decided it, Canada's best NHL team. Can we just stop on the Blue Jays for a second? I love them too, but we can't talk about everything. There's a lot of CFL fans here that want to talk about free agency opening Tuesday, which is Valentine's Day. Got an email here from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Their general manager, Kyle Walters, is meeting with the media today. There's a lot going on. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in. He says, I know it's early, but how's the RP show RV tour coming along? Well, I guess we'll have to have a meeting after the show today because I don't know. I haven't heard anything. My hands are full with other things. Swerve writes in. He's a Minnesota Wild fan, and he says, we owe Florida a beatdown tonight. Wild and Florida Panthers are meeting tonight. Everybody has their own thing, what they're into right now. We got to settle in on what we're interested in. Hey, I like this topic of farewells. This is something we could get into. Players saying farewell to a team. Seems to right now be a Canadian Football League thing. Cody Fajardo, who, interestingly enough, we were getting fan mail from the state of Georgia for Cody. They're listening on WQEE. Cody's got fans there. He played at Nevada. I don't really get it. He's from Brea, California. But anyways, today he penned a farewell to the Rider Nation. On the weekend, receivers Shaq Evans and Swerve Moore did the same. Jeff, the Stamps fan, responds to our question, did Bo Levi Mitchell do that in Calgary? Jeff says Bo had his farewell at McMahon Stadium. Fair. He didn't need to write anything. I wasn't at that game because the Flames were playing that night. I don't remember against whom, but I remember all the big to-do over it, and Bo waved to the crowd. So he had his thing. He didn't have to write it down. But how long do you need to be with the team before you feel the need to write a farewell to the fans? Darren, I think he said like 10 years. We'll talk about that next hour. And is there any other leagues doing it? You got to refresh my memory. Because I'm such a look forward kind of guy. I don't spend a lot of time looking back. I can't think of others. Last minute of play in hour one, regarding the Canucks and where they are at, they're in purgatory right now. Kevin, the medium, saying, tank Canucks, tank. Kevin, can you pass them over? Can you just... Are they there yet? They're not good enough to make the playoffs, but they're not bad enough to draft the hometown kid, Connor Bedard. That sounds like hell to me. That's where the Vancouver Canucks are. Hell. Jeff Cabillas, watching in Winnipeg, says, I got mixed reactions wearing my Mahomes jersey to work today. We can talk about that, too. I see people bashing Patrick Mahomes all over the place, saying he's cocky, he's this. They're bashing Patrick Mahomes. You know what that does? That says something about that person, how insecure they are, that a guy like Patrick Mahomes makes them feel uncomfortable. But enough of that. Craig Button coming up in hour two, and more of all this, whatever this is, after this brief pause.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
I was fascinated last week that Jerry was pounding Egg McMuffins like it was his job and dousing them with salt because he didn't care because he's 80.
How about that?
So what better, shrimp cocktail or Egg McMuffin? Don't waste our time. It's Egg McMuffin all day. And don't get me started about those puny little cocktail rings that you buy. They're disgusting. Egg McMuffin's good anywhere. That's right.
It's the Rod Peterson Show.
Those shrimp rings are disgusting. They are. The puny little ones. Yeah. Welcome to hour 2 of the RP Show. It's your favorite daytime sports talk show, although maybe you're listening to it at night. I'm not sure. However you're consuming it, thank you for making us part of your day. It is episode number 938, and we're coming in hot into a brand new week. Darren Moose Dupont is here. And I'll tell you what, I'm pretty excited. Obviously, we're on Game Plus TV. We are on the radio on WQEE, live streaming on YouTube and podcast form. And there's a lot of people I've learned that are watching the show on television here around the NHL Bermuda Triangle. Yeah. You know how I know? They told me.
How about that?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
So hi, thanks for joining us. I hope you're having fun. You overheard a lot of what I was saying near the end of hour 1.
Yeah.
Right? We had some good talks there about Connor Bedard and the Vancouver Canucks. We'll just leave that. The Canucks are home tonight to Detroit. There's 5 NHL games. Flames are at Ottawa. Coming out of the weekend, I've said the Flames could be the best team in the NHL if they wanted to be. But what I want to talk about is a few things. One is football and Super Bowl. Why not? We're not going to talk about it any other time if we're not talking about it now.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs on a last-second field goal. 8 seconds to go. Harrison Butker kicks the field goal. Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl 38-35 over Philadelphia. We had a great time at our Super Bowl watch party at the Four Seasons Sports Palace. We didn't infringe on any copyrights, if you noticed, unless you got a letter from somebody, because I didn't.
Not yet.
Well, we didn't tie in any sponsors.
No.
The place was full. Get the photo there, Clark. You want to throw that? This is one of our winners, Mike Marutis, won his choice of a jacket. It was kind of funny, actually. We give away Bet Regal prizing. You see I'm wearing a jacket. Ricky the iguana came out of hiding. You don't see a lot of iguanas this time of year, but Ricky came out. Interesting look that Ricky's got going on there. And Mike picked the Denver Broncos hoodie. Here in Saskatchewan, we call them a bunny hug. He's like, yeah, it's for the wife. I'll give it to the wife. The wife will wear it. There you go. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes. I've seen a lot of Mahomes hate He was named the MVP of Super Bowl 57, two-time NFL MVP, now two-time Super Bowl champion, and two-time Super Bowl MVP. Wayne is watching in Victoria, BC, and he says, how could anyone not like Patrick Mahomes? He's anything but an arrogant young man. He seems to me to be humble. Allie's watching in Texarkana. She says, I like Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts both. Very talented Texas boys. No, but I'm seeing a lot of bashing of Patrick Mahomes. I don't get it either. But what I've learned, especially the last while, is that confident people rub insecure people the wrong way. And those insecure people, what's their mechanism? They bash. They bash. It makes them feel better to bash the winners, the leaders, or as John Frenzy said to me this weekend, important people like us. He said that. And you agree with all of that.
Yeah, I do. It's funny with Mahomes. Like, he was confident, and he was celebrating, and he was excited, but he was trying to be humble, and it's almost like Travis Kelce wouldn't let him. Kelce wasn't going to have it. He made sure 3 or 4 different times to say, and none of you picked us, and we're shoving it down your throat.
Good for him.
Right? He made a point of hijacking the interview on several occasions to do that. He's the one. If anybody was like arrogant or came off as cocky, it was Travis Kelce. And you know what? He's earned it. You know, he's the best tight end of the game. He passed Rob Gronkowski for receiving yards in playoffs and touchdowns. I think he's just been outstanding, and they've earned that right. But people always want to hate on somebody who's having success.
Yeah.
That's why people hated Tom Brady when he was in New England and winning all the time. And it wasn't until he got old-ish, went to Tampa, people started liking him again because he became an underdog. And so now we're going to go through this era of hating Patrick Mahomes until he becomes an underdog.
Rich is watching in Edmonton, Rich Robertson. He says, Mahomes is spectacular, and I'm a Raiders fan, for God's sakes. Thanks, Rich, for straightening that out. Jeff Cabillas in Winnipeg. He says, haters gonna hate. They'll drink the haterade like no one's business, right? So I got an email here from Adweek, and they've rated the top 10 Super Bowl commercials. And I don't assume a lot of you were here an hour ago when I was talking about the Super Bowl party that we threw yesterday. I was up, I was down, I was all around. John Frenzy, the Don Cherry of football, the legendary football broadcaster, was with us. He's 85, and he gave me heck, and he goes, you're not even watching the game. And I said, I'm hosting a Super Bowl party. Mind your business. Everybody here wants to visit with me, okay? Just worry about yourself. So the point is, I didn't see a lot of the commercials. What I saw was Steve Martin a lot.
Yes.
And good for him. But from Adweek, here are your top 10 Super Bowl commercials, and you can feel free to chime in or not because I didn't really see them.
Okay.
Number 10, Uber One. And the title of the commercial was One Hit for Uber One. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 9. Oh, that was the P. Diddy one?
Yeah.
I saw that one.
Yeah.
But that was the 10th. Thank you, Clark. P. Diddy was in it. Gotcha. Doritos.
The triangle.
Okay, yeah, Jack's New Angle. Okay.
It was Jack Harlow, the rapper, and then it ended. They had a story throughout the game, and at the end, they had an award. And the best triangle, Elton John, instead of playing the piano, he was playing the triangle.
How about this?
It was good.
Number 8 is Crown Royal, and this is interesting. The title is Thank You, Canada. And I'll only say this. Crown Royal's brewed in Gimli, Manitoba, and I was having a tour of a rehab facility up there. I didn't check in, okay? I was a guest. I was getting a tour of Aurora Recovery Center. And as we were driving around, they said, that's where Crown Royal's brewed. And I was like, they said when the wind picks up, the smell wafts into the treatment center. I'm like, well, that's great. The smell of whiskey coming here
Right.
on the shores of Lake Winnipeg. Anyways, thank you,
Grohl.
Canada.
Dave Grohl, Foo Fighters, was in that one.
Cool. Number 7, Popcorners. The title Breaking Good.
That was the Breaking Bad.
God, I did see more of this than I thought.
Yeah, you did.
John Frenzy had no clue.
So good.
He had no clue who Walter White was or Jesse Pinkman. Number 6, the Dunkin' Donut. Dunkin' drive-through commercial with Ben Affleck.
And Jennifer Lopez.
Number 5 was the NFL ad, Run With It. Doesn't mean anything to you?
I don't know if I saw that one.
Number 4 was a Netflix ad. Netflix and General Motors. No? Okay. Number 3, Molson Coors. High stakes beer ad. I don't think I saw that one. Number 2, work day.
I saw that one. Yeah, it was on again this morning when I was watching the networks.
And number 1 is frankly the one that everybody's talking about, and I didn't really notice it, is Tubi. I don't even know what Tubi is. I don't even know what a quail is. It's a streaming service, Clark says. Number 1 ad, Tubi.
You mean the Skechers ad with Tony Romo and Snoop Dogg didn't make the list? That was pretty good.
The only Tubi I know is Colton Tubert.
How about that?
And the people are chiming in, and I'm. This is the one thing that we were significantly lost on, and that was Gronk. Jeff in Winnipeg says, "Darn, Gronk missing the kick." And there's so many comments in here, I lost it. But what was I doing all week that I wasn't even aware that Rob Gronkowski was to kick a field goal?
I know. It was a big commercial campaign. It was called the Kick of Destiny for FanDuel. And so they had this story of Gronk's going to kick a field goal. It started off, you're doing something at Super Bowl, the Kick of Destiny, and Gronk didn't know what it was. And then he found out it was a field goal, so he recruited Adam Vinatieri, and he started lifting weights, doing squats for his leg, learning how to kick. And during Super Bowl, he was to kick a field goal, 25 yards, and if he made it, anybody who had bet at least $5 on the Super Bowl at FanDuel would share in a $10 million prize. So he kicked this.
Smart.
We all thought it was going to be at the field during, like, at the end of halftime, that it would be a big production, or between quarters. It wasn't. It was filmed on another field. He hooked it to the left, missed the 25-yard field goal, so nobody won. FanDuel ended up giving everybody a $10 free play. You know, the ones you get from the casino underneath your windshield wiper. Everybody gets one of those, and you move on. But it was a little anticlimactic.
And to me, confusing. TSN's Craig Button coming up later on here in hour 2. From the audience, couple things. Ricky Regina is watching. You know Ricky from Ballers Rec Room. 902-518-33. He's texted it. He says, that was an amazing back and forth game. Too bad about the phantom hold to change it. And Dave is watching on Game Plus television in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Beautiful part of the world. He says, we are blessed that both the CFL and NFL had great championship games. Take care, fellas. Argos. He's right. The CFL game went down to the last-minute drive. Winnipeg Blue Bombers had a field goal blocked, and they lose the game to the Toronto Argonauts. And then here in this Super Bowl, we have been talking about it all day. And again, that's what we do here. 938 shows in. Have coffee, talk sports, and hope not to fight.
Yeah.
Ricky, obviously you weren't watching an hour ago where I said a penalty's a penalty. It sure as hell wasn't a phantom penalty. But the DB, Brad Berry, said after the game, I did it. I was hoping to get away with it. I did it. So how could anybody say that it was a phantom call?
Yeah.
They replayed it 37 different angles.
I know. I know. It's just... and we want to say it impacted the game. It did. I mean,
sure it did.
It did impact the game. Jalen Hurts, instead of having 8 seconds, would have had a little over a minute to come down the field. And he just proved he could go down the field fairly quickly when they scored and got the 2-point convert to tie it just before that. But instead, the penalty allowed Mahomes and the Chiefs to run out the clock and kick that field goal.
Trevor in Winnipeg. He's joining us now every day. I appreciate it. He's written in. He says, I went to bed when it was tied with 5 minutes to go. And then he says, no Grey Cup. Which game are you talking about? Super Bowl or Grey Cup? They were both tied late. You couldn't go to bed early. There were some interesting calls. Jeff Cabela, same guy, says, how did that Smith touchdown get overturned? And Rich in Edmonton says that penalty not only impacted the game, it basically ended the game. Yeah. But what are we talking about here? That it was a penalty or it wasn't a penalty? I remember watching an interview with Kerry Fraser, who I never really liked. I've never met him. But when I did get to be good friends with Mick Magoo, he's like, it's okay, you don't need to like him. that was from Mick. But I remember one time watching an interview with Kerry Fraser, the legendary NHL referee, and I was watching it on the big screen at my house. And he said, I officiated 1,500 NHL games, and not one time did a call of mine impact the game. I took my shoe off and threw it at the TV. I'm like, you're lying. It always impacts the game. And by the way, that's okay.
Yeah.
That game last night that call last night did impact the game, but it is what it is. Rich, I was talking about it earlier. 2014 Grey Cup. Blocking from the back penalty on the middle linebacker for Hamilton in the 2014 Grey Cup cost the Ticats a win in the Grey Cup on the last play. This really isn't any different. And I talked to the referees after that game in Vancouver, and they said, imagine if we didn't call it.
Yeah.
And listen, you know how close I am with Eric Tillman and Ken Austin. They were, how mad do you think they were? They're like, Rod, they've been letting it go all game. It cost Kent a $100,000 bonus.
Yeah.
Was that a penalty? They got no answer to that.
Right. Of course it was. And it didn't, take the game away from Philly. Like, it's not like Philadelphia was winning the game.
It was tied.
It was tied, right? And, the Chiefs, again, it scored on every possession of the second half. So it's not like it decided the game. It did end the game. It did impact the game, all of those things. But it's not like Philadelphia was winning the game if they didn't call that penalty.
Yeah. I think we all watch for different things. What I love about this was it turned into a football game. It wasn't just a spectacle. What did it come down to? Turnovers. The longest punt return in Super Bowl history was 65 yards. They couldn't cover it. The Eagles didn't cover that. We're not talking about that.
We're not talking about that, and we should be.
Yes.
And I thought about MVPs because Patrick Mahomes didn't even throw for 200 yards. Thought Kadarius Toney. I'm like, he had the big return. He had the touchdown earlier, and then I looked at the stat line. That was his only catch of the game for 5 yards. But
and this is the thing. It's interesting. Ryan O'Radio is participating in the chat today, and I am here for it. From WQEE Radio, the host of the Radio Penitentiary every morning here on WQEE. Where did his comment go? I want to read it word for word. Clark, do you want to put it up on the screen? Do you see it?
There it is.
Yeah, can you see it?
I can't.
My screen isn't good enough. I want to read it word for word. Oh, he did? Oh, he deleted it. Okay, he said history was made with the two black quarterbacks facing each other for the first time, Jalen Hurts and obviously Patrick Mahomes, and he's right about that. So he deleted it. I couldn't find it here on YouTube, but Clark's got it on the screen. That's another thing that I, as a middle-aged white man, don't understand, but that's only because I'm white. I remember when Danny Barrett and Roy Shivers became the first African-American head coach and general manager in pro football history of this football team. I was the voice of the team at the time. I was like, why is this such a big deal? But now that I've gone through the things that I've gone through with the recovery thing, and on a smaller scale, Mike and the Mad Dog, Chris Russo and Mike Francesca, they were the pioneers of sports talk. In the 80s, they said, let's crack the mic and talk sports all day. Let's see how they were the first.
Yeah.
And paved the way for all of us in the sports talk game. So it is groundbreaking for black quarterbacks. And why it took so long, that's the story for another time. I did love the piece that TSN did on Warren Moon. Would have been worthy of quarterbacking in a Super Bowl. He had to come to the Canadian Football League to get his chance with the Edmonton Eskimos and only win 5 CFL championships before the NFL thought, hey, this guy can play.
Yeah.
Right? Anyways, we'll be right back. I knew today's show would be good. It's kind of been audience takeover all day. That's what we want. Craig Button coming up from TSN. We'll be talking Flames and Sens and more. We're live on Game Plus Television, which is channel 924 all across BC and Alberta on TELUS. Also Bell MTS Cable, SaskTel Max, all across Eastern Canada. Rogers, Cogeco, Eastlink. And if it's your cable carrier and I haven't said it, let us know. We'll be right back. And also on the radio, WQEE, The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Casino fancy.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Laid back and kicking it, let's head back to the studio. Here's Rod.
Yeah, that's me. Welcome to the RP Show, everybody. And we are live on Game Plus TV and WQEE. Also YouTube for those so inclined. We're in the NHL's Bermuda Triangle right here, right now. And I'm having a wonderful time, by the way. I'm very, very excited on the weekend. I mentioned it last hour. Moose is with me. He wasn't with me for this. I watched a Junior A hockey game, Estevan and Nipawin in the Energy City, in the finest Junior A facility. It's the nicest Junior A hockey rink I've ever been in. They say it's number 2 in Canada to Penticton, and I've never been to Penticton, so I can't say it's the nicest. But the kid for Nipawin, Rylan Lefebvre, had his hand skated over.
Oh.
Right in front of us. Right in front of us. And to be honest, a crisis averted, I guess. It was right in front of the rink. You've been there. Yeah. We watched games there together. He skated right over his. He grabbed his hand immediately. There was blood all over the ice, and he went right down the tunnel to the dressing room. And the athletic therapist, chased him down the hall. They called for paramedics to come to the Hawks room. And it was the next day that I talked to Dana Dirks, the assistant GM of the Hawks, and he said he's going to make a full recovery. Not sure if he'll play this year or not. But it was ugly. Like, it took the linesman quite a while to scrape the blood off the ice. Oh. It's traumatic. Listen, we're talking about DeMar Hamlin in the suite that I was in. That affects you as a teammate.
It does. It makes me think way back to being a kid and the Trent McCleary. Was that the neck with Trent McCleary, the Montreal Canadiens?
He got shot in the throat, did he not? He took a shot in the throat.
Was it a throat?
Yeah.
Yeah, like those types of things, scary. And, the game stops and the wrist, anytime you get close to the arteries with the skate blades, I mean, it's surprising it doesn't happen more often, but it doesn't. And it's just, yeah.
Well, I'm reading this now that you say that. I got an email came in over the weekend on this exact thing. Jim Nichols. Where are you at, Jim? He didn't say where he's writing from, but he said, I'm surprised there aren't more wrists slashed with skate blades. In the olden days, our hockey gloves met our elbow pads halfway down the forearm. Oh, right, but then you can't stick handle right, Jim. And I brought, and so I saw the junior A game. I watched the college game with my niece, and then a major junior WHL game Saturday night. Color me happy. And it all wound up with the Super Bowl on Sunday. But I was telling my sister-in-law, Tracy, whom I love dearly, obviously, but she doesn't know whether the puck is blown up or stuffed, as they say. And she knew. She said, were you there last night in Estevan? It was big news that this had happened. And I said, I was there. And I told her the story of Josh Holden, first-round pick of the Vancouver Canucks. When I was broadcasting, his exact same thing happened to him, and he was never the same. And then we went to a game in Moose Jaw the next night, and he had his arm in a cast, and he asked if he could come sit with me in my radio booth. And the Warrior fans were hitting him on his way up the stairs to the booth.
What?
Knocking him.
Yeah.
That's what he said. That's the best rivalry in junior hockey right there. Back on point, if we ever had one. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, has the CFL ever had a Grey Cup with two black quarterbacks? Again, I'm trying to go. He says 1987, Damon Allen versus Gilbert Renfro. There was one, and somebody wrote in here earlier, the guy from Edmonton. Remember I said Julius Caesar Watts, the Ottawa Rough Riders. J.C. Watts, I think it was a 1981 Grey Cup. Somebody's got to help me. And then it would have been against Warren Moon.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why TSN was doing the story on it, that he was in a CFL championship. I'm not sure. I guess my point is it's a big deal to them. I never really understood why, but now I'm kind of understanding why. And good for them. I just feel, why did it take so long? It's kind of hard to believe. In football, to have two black quarterbacks face each other. Like the Super Bowl thing.
I go back to 07, but I'm like, that was Ryan Dinwiddie that played, not Kevin Glenn.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because 07 would have been, right?
It's another game I called.
Yeah, like that would have been one.
How about that?
I go back to Damon Allen. Anyways, Henry Burris.
We could go on and on.
Yeah.
Swerve in Calgary says, I watch old hockey brawls and wince at all those blades slashing around, hands on the ice, trying to get up. I know. Maybe that's why they don't want fighting in hockey, Moose. What do you think? I don't know. Sure was fun at the time.
Yeah.
I got to stay out of the comments on YouTube. You can write us here, 902-518-3033, whatever you want to talk about. But I will also say this. I was thinking this. The NFL has to be happy with this being a close game. The line was Eagles by 1.5. Chiefs won by 3. A lot of money switched hands. Do we know how much money switched hands in the betting world?
I haven't seen a total figure on money won, money lost in the books or who the big winners were, but there were some. The big one that didn't, the kicker slipped. The big prop bet that everybody was betting on was that it wouldn't be a touchback. We talked about this on Friday. And he slipped and still got it through the end zone for a touchback. So I know a lot of people lost money on that one.
Ricky Regina's still with us. He writes in and says, Warren Moon, Conrad Holloway. Thank you, Ricky. Clark will be on top of this. Was the Gatorade purple, Clark? It looked purple. Make it. I have a photo of it. Andy Reid getting doused.
Yeah,
it was purple.
I saw purple. Okay. It wasn't live during the game. They looked at it. They had cameras on that for sure.
How do you miss that?
They showed it later. They just never got it live. But yeah, it was purple. And then they showed clips, and somebody said, "No, it's orange." But what they were showing with time the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, it was orange. So this time it was purple.
Big time stuff.
The
color of Gatorade. I don't even drink Gatorade. I wipe the floor with Gatorade. I drink A game. And by the way, it is better than Gatorade. Have we found out? Can somebody in Calgary let me know? Are they selling A game in the Calgary Co-op? Because that's the rumor. Sean in Vancouver, watching on Game Plus TV, Channel 924, tell us. He says, what's the scoop with the players who got suspended from the WHL? Or is that a pending conversation? Have a good week, guys. Well, again, show up on time. We cover all these things, right, Moose?
Yes.
We cover it all. The Western Hockey League announced on Saturday that Moose Jaw Warriors goalie Connor Unger, defenseman Max Warner, and Merrick Howell, and center Lyndon Lakovic were suspended indefinitely pending an investigation into possible violations of team rules and the WHL standard of conduct policies. Unger leads the league in save percentage at .925, third in wins with 26, and Warner, who's from Estevan Sask, who's drafted by the Edmonton Oilers, nobody's saying anything. As I said, as far as I know, and I saw the Warriors play Saturday night. I saw their general manager, a longtime friend of mine, walk by. We didn't talk about it. The police aren't involved. That's the good thing. But being suspended indefinitely, that's not a good thing. And I don't know, and I'm not looking into it.
Yeah.
I think that's my right to be able to not look into things. Do you know what I mean? I'm not friggin' W5.
It's clearly
don't want to be.
It's clearly delicate, and the league has jumped on it, and they're taking, looking into it. And the Moose Jaw Warriors are going to want these players back because they're trying to get into the playoffs and go somewhere for their season. So when there is news, I'm pretty confident that we'll find out.
By the way, the viewers are having a party regarding black quarterback tandem Grey Cups in the CFL, and they're bringing up 2013. Darian Durant versus Henry Burris. That was a good one. Unfortunately, that was another one that I was able to call. Our poll question today for Capital Automall Universal Collision Center is regarding the National Hockey League, and the question is, which is Canada's best NHL team? Flames, Oilers, Leafs, or Jets? I voted for Winnipeg. Our first-hour guest, Jeff Paterson, who covers the Vancouver Canucks, said the Canucks have no business even being in this poll, which they're not. He said the Winnipeg Jets. And ain't that something? Maybe we'll get into that with Craig Button next. How did this happen? I'm not sure anybody really knows. Because when the season gets going, it's a blur for everybody. The fans, certainly the coaches and the players. You don't sit back and assess things until the year's over. You really don't. You were saying Leafs, right?
I was saying Leafs, but right now, based on this, Rick Bowness should be walking into
asking for a raise,
Cheval Deo's office and asking for a raise before the playoffs start.
An extension, maybe?
He's worth it.
Well, this is unfortunately why you can't listen to fans. Listen up, grasshoppers. They didn't want Rick Bowness in Winnipeg, remember? I'm here to remind you that probably once a week. Jets fans didn't want him.
It was Barry Trotz or bust.
Oh, how does Rick Bowness feel that he's not first choice? Happy that I think that he's coaching the Winnipeg Jets. That's what I think. I thought you were going to say Rick Bowness for Coach of the Year. And not to say that he shouldn't be, but Dave Hochstahl in Seattle.
That's pretty.
65 points for them, 67 for the Jets.
Pretty miraculous turnaround.
I don't think the Kraken have one half the talent the Winnipeg Jets have, and they sure as heck don't have the goaltending. So it's right. Winnipeg is winning the poll on Twitter. What are they saying on YouTube, Clark? Have they come to their senses? Because they were saying Leafs earlier. He's looking it up, I can tell. Now the Jets have taken over the lead. They're leading on YouTube. And how about those Winnipeg Jets?
Wow.
Did you watch any of the Chicago-Winnipeg game on Saturday night?
Not the
It's a late start. Man.
Yeah, it was a really late start. What I really enjoyed Saturday, actually, is I sat right here and watched a lot of daytime hockey. I watched the Oilers.
Wasn't
the
it great?
Sens. I watched the Habs, the Islanders. I thought it was awesome to watch daytime hockey on a Saturday. I loved it.
Well, Clark telling me that Craig Button is loaded up and ready to go, and it was fun just watching the reaction with the Calgary Flames dropping down 2-0 in Buffalo. They were ready to burn their season tickets. The Flames would be a very difficult team to broadcast for because their crew was very down. I was listening to it after the first period. And then miraculous hairpin turn. They come back and win 7-2. And I'm like, we got to take that all back? Well, we were... Pick one, Calgary. I will see you in overtime.
You bet.
TSN's Craig Button joins us next. You don't have to take my word for it. The audience saying Canada's top hockey analyst from Canada's sports leader, Craig Button, is next. You're watching live on Game Plus Television, live streaming on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, and on the radio, WQEE, The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models, GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Brand new week kicking off here, episode 938 of the RP Show, live on Game Plus Television and WQEE. Craig Button, of course, the outstanding TSN analyst, one of the busiest guys that I know in the business. I'm going to start, if you don't mind, Craig, with our poll question. Let you take a stab at it. Canada's best NHL team, who is it? We've got it down to Jets, Flames, Oilers, or Leafs. What do you think on this Monday?
Yeah, you know, we talk about best, right? And you start to look at elements of a strength of a team and where they sit. And I mean, I think Toronto's a good team, and I think Winnipeg is a really good team. I think it would be between Toronto and Winnipeg. But, Winnipeg's goaltending is so good. I mean, they're deep in their lineup. And, when I look at, best, and maybe I'll add best chance to win a Stanley Cup in Canada, I think it's the Winnipeg Jets, and I think a big part of it is not only their roster, but also their path. It's pretty wide open in the West, and I think the Jets are as good as anybody, and we'll see what Kevin Cheveldayoff does heading into the trade deadline. Whereas I look at Toronto and I look at where they're at with respect to having to play Tampa Bay and Boston, and it could be 7 straight years out in the first round for the Leafs.
Wouldn't that be something? And by the way, I was at a Wranglers game in the fall. I ran into Rich Preston. He said he'd just been in Winnipeg watching the Jets, and he was like that was way back second week of October. So he said they're good. So I admire Paul Maurice for saying, hey, time for a change and leaving. And he never said they weren't good, right? I would ask you what's changed. Rick Bowness is like the only thing that's changed.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kevin Cheveldayoff felt that the team was capable of a lot more. He believed in the team. There was a lot of talk about, who should he trade? Who do they got to move out of there? And Paul stepped away last December of 2021, and he felt that they needed a new voice. And Dave Lowry stepped in and tried his best, but the results simply weren't there. And I think that when you look at the Winnipeg Jets, it's one thing for a GM to believe in his team. And I think the hardest time to believe in a team and your players is when things aren't going well or when they're not going as well as you think they should be going. So Kevin identifies something that they need from a coach. Remember, they were first talking to Barry Trotz, and then they went to Rick Bowness. And I think both of them were exactly what the Winnipeg Jets, Kevin Cheveldayoff, was looking for. A better opportunity to... What I felt with the Winnipeg Jets is they did a lot of their own harm. I believe in pressure. I love pressure. I love applying pressure to your opponent, but not mindless pressure. And I think the Winnipeg Jets, under both Paul Maurice and Dave Lowry, there was a lot of mindless pressure. Not only does that happen, but there's now a lot of needless energy spent by players. You're chasing one place, you got to chase back to one another. All you got to do is look at the defensive metrics for the Winnipeg Jets. They were in the bottom 5-6 of the NHL last year, bottom 5-6 teams. They're in the top half this year. That's coaching. They suffered from below average coaching, subpar coaching. Their coaching has improved significantly with Rick Bowness behind the bench.
I've got a ton of questions for you because I haven't talked to you forever, but the viewers have more. Rich in Edmonton wants to know what you think of the rumors of Erik Karlsson to the Oilers. Does it mathematically, financially make sense?
Well, I mean, you can look at the contract of Erik Karlsson and you can say, okay, $11.5 million, how do we make it work? Well, number one, what are the San Jose Sharks willing to hold on to with respect to the next 4 years of his contract? So why don't we just play a little bit of a math equation here? I could make it work in a second. You trade Tyson Barrie and Jesse Puljujärvi. You get them to pick up $3.5 million of the contract and you have Erik Karlsson in the lineup. So you do those two moves. You don't have to, you're going to have to give up something more than that to the San Jose Sharks to entice them. But you add Erik Karlsson to that team in Edmonton. Oh boy, my answer to your first question might change real quick, because Erik Karlsson, in my view, after Connor McDavid, is the most valuable player in the National Hockey League this year. If the San Jose Sharks did not have Erik Karlsson, I think you're looking at 10 to 12 less losses. He has dominated in San Jose this year. He's been simply brilliant. And when I look at adding that defenseman to that team and to that forward group in Edmonton, I think it would be fantastic.
Here's something that I don't hear you talk about enough because nobody asks you. Swerve in Calgary says the list of players drafted in Dallas when Button was there: Darian Hatcher, Yuri Lettinen, Jamie Langenbrunner, Marty Turco, Jerome McGinley, and Brendan Morrow. Obviously, several more. You guys won a Stanley Cup, and I'd always heard, Craig, that Mike Modano wasn't particularly fond of Ken Hitchcock. Can we solve that today? What can you say about that?
Well, what I can tell you is about Mike. Ken Hitchcock came in. It's always amazing that coaches, when they win, you hear about anything. Ken came in, and I think he did very similar to what Scotty Bowman did with Steve Yzerman. They recognized the brilliance of their stars, and Mike was a superstar. But Ken asked Mike to do some other things that Mike was more than capable of, and not just being focused in on the offense, which, Mike was brilliant, but also the two-way game. Mike became a superb two-way player. And Hitch pushed. He pushed everybody. Trust me. He pushed Mike. He pushed Yeri. He pushed Hully. He pushed Joe Nieuwendyk. He pushed them. And when you're pushing, sometimes you're going to push buttons. But I will say this, I know that when Mike Modano looks back on winning the Stanley Cup, he gives a massive amount of credit to Ken Hitchcock. So I would tell you this, that there's times, think about this, Rod. Think about our own parents. Think about when they come down hard on us when we're younger and we kind of under our breath, oh, geez, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe that. And we're mad at our parents, right? They do it because they love us. And at the end of the day, we recognize that, hey, you know what? They were a big part of who we became. They were a big part of the success we were able to achieve. No different than Mike Modano and Ken Hitchcock.
Absolutely. And you and I blessed with great dads, and wasn't that hit like inside those rings? It says relentless, right? Wasn't that Hitch's thing? That phrase?
Well, it was. And I think it's a phrase that still applies today, Rod. I think today, when you think about, what it takes to be a champion, if it was easy to win, everybody would do it. It's hard to win. And it takes a discipline, it takes a focus, and it takes a real consistency, what I call constancy of purpose and consistency of effort. If you start losing your constancy of purpose or your consistency of effort, your chances of winning are lessened. And so when you use the word relentless, that's a terrific word and a word that is foundational to any team's success. And certainly Ken believed it, but also the players. The players knew that when Ken Hitchcock came in with a game plan, and Ken Hitchcock, expressed along with Rick Wilson and Doug Jarvis, what a team needed to do, what they had to be aware of. They had complete trust in those guys, because those guys, they might not have always had the answer, but they're always looking for the answer. And then they were able to provide the answer. And certainly sometimes those answers came from the players. It wasn't just, a player sitting there taking all the answers one way. It was a two-way street. And I'll tell you a quick story. And I think that this really kind of encapsulizes not only the players, but Ken Hitchcock. In 1999, we lost Game 5 to Colorado at home on an afternoon game, and down 3-2 in a series. And we had to go into Colorado, into Denver for Game 6. We were down 1-0 at the end of the first period. Now, this was a President's Trophy winning team, a team that had every reason to believe that they could compete for the Stanley Cup. So Ken and the assistants were often, outside the dressing room doing what they do, trying to make adjustments and consider what they were going to say to the team coming in before the second period began. Ken says he got to the edge of the door and he heard all the players talking about, okay, listen, we were good, we're strong, just keep with it, we got this, here's the things, we know what we can do, let's keep pushing them, we'll get rewarded. Ken said they had it. He said, I just walked in and said, okay, let's go. And I think that doesn't happen in that moment. That's instilled over a long period of time. But that's the trust that Ken had in the players. But it was also the players knowing that where they found themselves at that moment in time was one that they had worked at for a long period of time.
Sure, you climbed the mountain. Hitch didn't just show up in 99. I was watching. 24 years ago, it does not feel like a quarter century ago. We only got 90 seconds to 2 minutes, Craig. I need your take on the Calgary Flames, where they are and where you think they're going this year.
Well, I think expectations at the beginning of the year, Tkachuk out, Gaudreau out, but, Huberdeau in, Kadri in, Weegar in. I think that you look at a team that defensively everybody felt would be strong. Well, that has been certainly the case. Defensively, they've been very strong, very good. Three areas I think they've really struggled. Jacob Markstrom has really struggled. He's been up and down and inconsistent, and that's really been a challenge for the Calgary Flames. Without Dan Vladar this year, there's no telling where the Calgary Flames would be. Number two, they've had a real challenge scoring. They're one of the bottom 8 teams in terms of total offense. When you look at their ability to they get lots of shots, but don't confuse volume with quality. Their quality is down. That's been a real challenge for them. The other area that they've struggled with is holding on to leads, and part of that is the goaltender hasn't been good, and they can't separate themselves offensively. So 3 is a direct result of 1 and 2. And when you have the problems that the Flames have in 1 and 2, I think that becomes reason for concern. Now, are they going to be in a hunt for a playoff spot right down the line? I think they will be, but this is a team that I think Brad Treliving is looking at trying to strengthen and add, specifically offensively, maybe a bigger, stronger, more forceful forward that can provide a little bit more inside offense, which I think would benefit the Flames.
Wonderful analysis, but more than anything, we always love the Stars stories. Craig, thanks for fitting us in. Keep up the great work. We enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. Have a great day.
TSN's Craig Button. You too. We'll be right back with Overtime, a sports update if we have time, audience takeover, and the Moose rejoins. We're live on Game Plus Television, also live streaming on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, and WQEE Radio, The Key.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Resort and Casino.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models, GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Business owners and marketers, Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Peterson Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Peterson Show.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Really fun day today. Really fun day today. How can you tell I spent the weekend with John Frenzy? We're bringing the Moose in now, the Hall of Fame. I know we got to get him back on the air. It's difficult. It's not easy. 85-year-old Hall of Fame Rough Riders broadcaster, but I was with him all weekend. I talk like him.
I know.
I spend time around him.
I know.
A sports update before we delve into some more fun stuff. Quarterback Derek Carr turned down a trade offer from the Las Vegas Raiders to the New Orleans Saints, according to a source that told the Associated Press over the weekend. Carr wouldn't accept a pay cut to help finalize the deal, and the Saints were the only team interested in making a trade with the Raiders. Now they're going to have to cut him. Toronto Blue Jays are gathering in Dunedin, Florida today as the first wave of pitchers and catchers report to training camp. Other position players, including Blue Jays All-Stars Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Alejandro, it's back.
Yeah.
Alejandro Kirk, one of my favorite Lady Gaga songs. They're reporting early ahead of the World Baseball Classic, which begins March 7th. This sports update for Landmark Cinemas in theaters now. In Landmark Cinemas, Avatar, The Way of Water, set more than a decade after the events of the first film. Avatar, The Way of Water, begins to tell the story of the Sully family, the trouble that follows them, the lengths they go to keep each other safe, the battles they fight to stay alive, and the tragedies they endure. In Landmark Cinemas now, Avatar, The Way of Water. Moose rejoins for overtime. You were saying a nice little story in the break regarding one Craig Button.
I was just telling you, like, I hear Craig on the show, and I just, reminded me that Craig, for me, was the first guy that came on our show that really made me perk up and say, whoa, Rod's really got, a connection to the game of hockey that's deeper than just doing junior hockey games on the radio in Regina. Craig came on the way he talked about your dad and just how intimately he knew you and your knowledge of the game and connection to the game. And then all of a sudden my eyes were open. Then the Draggers came on and, we got people from the Hockey Hall of Fame watching. I'm like, oh, like the connection to hockey, and not just hockey here, but hockey at the highest level is a lot bigger than I even thought it was, right? Because everybody, has that assumption of you being a football guy.
It surprises me a little bit that you wouldn't know that. But even getting into the game late, because when my dad passed away, you were at the funeral, but you'd never met him.
Right, never.
Who has a funeral and a hockey rink? Jim Pedersen does.
Cool. It was full.
It was like, I packed the rink for this funeral. Who spoke at it? This guy. And his granddaughter, Sydney.
Yeah.
My niece. But the cool part was, my mom set this all up. In the lobby of the rink, there was all these cool artifacts, and one was a handwritten card from Craig Button. Right? That was pretty cool.
That's neat.
Regarding Dad's contributions to the Stanley Cup Championship in 1999 with the Dallas Stars. And I can't believe that it has been 24. That's a quarter of a century, yo.
I know.
And interesting that still comes up, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
The skating crease, still comes up. The Brett Hull skate in the crease.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah,
right. All the time. And that's one of those that I argue. I'm like, they got it right. I mean, they've got it wrong when it comes to like how the rule was written in the book. But in terms of the intention and the integrity of the game and the spirit of the rule, they got it right at the end of the day, which is good for the Stars and for hockey to get that right. And then they spawned changing that rule back a little bit, right? There was no interference there. There was no, crowding of the crease. That was kind of brought in for like the guys like Thomas Holmstrom, right? Who just sat with both skates firmly in the crease, right? Up against goaltenders all the time, and was a real nuisance.
Honestly, everybody gets, I'm fidgeting with my earphones here, Level. Everybody gets so worked up about the refs, and then those that implement the rules. And I'm like, if these guys, they stay up at night. Trust me, I know them. The people like Craig Button when he was running teams. trying to find a way, a loophole in the rules to use it to your advantage. It's a constant cat and mouse game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It
and
is.
it's got to be exhausting. And then to talk about the Super Bowl last night, I remember when the CFL a few years ago, I was still working in the league where they've decided we're going to strictly enforce pass interference. If you put your hands on a receiver 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, you're going to get flagged. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But it changed the game. That penalty last night was a penalty.
Yeah.
Why are we complaining about it?
I know. And the new one that came out of last night is the rugby scrum on the 1 yard, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. And the Eagles do it so well. They line the two big guys up behind. Hurts goes, and they just push up aisle like rugby.
They're not supposed to be able to do that.
No, and it's automatic that they're going to get the first down every time. And so instead of somebody getting hurt, just give them the first down. But they're probably going to end up tweaking that rule at some point in the offseason.
Last minute of play in the RP show. Yeah, well, at one point they call it tandem blocking, which is another thing that I don't miss calling play-by-play specifically for football, because I'm like, you're expected to know all the rules as a play-by-play guy. I'm like, I'm not even the color guy. The color guy should know all the rules. I'm just calling what I see.
Yeah.
And the rules are so intricate, and they change all the time, and it's just, I don't want to do this anymore.
That's how it was with me.
It's stressful.
With me calling lacrosse. I said, I'll do it, but you better have a hell of a color guy with me who knows all the intricate ins and outs of the game.
Right. Darren in Utah says it was a hold, not illegal contact. Right? Here, all of this. So we're going to be talking about this all friggin' winter and spring until they play again.
I know.
Thank you to Craig Button. That was fun. Thank you to Jeff Paterson. Thanks to our entire IKS crew, particularly Jordan and Clark. And we'll see you all tomorrow, noon Eastern, here on Game Plus and Who has more fun than us?